I don't want it to be such a strict regiment in my head just because I know how life is and shit happens. And sometimes you need to throw an iPad at a kid.
The Dad Collective podcast is here today.
I
want to, you know what? Because I'm always like, hey guys, I thought it'd be fun to come up with a jingle on the spot.
A jingle.
Yeah.
Just you're
like taking us back to like the 50s, like real marketing. The Dad Collective.
I'm actually speechless. I don't
speechless
know what
in a good way.
Yeah, you know. It's fine. That was good. I think it like needs a little
work.
Needs a little pizzazz.
What do they say? They need to you gotta like work it a bit longer when you're doing a production of something.
You'll work it a bit longer.
Not work it a bit longer. I'm not starting this podcast until I figure out the word. I'll get to it by the end. But anyways, in the meantime, I'm Daniel.
I'm Paul.
And this, if you didn't know from my jingle, is
the Dad Collective podcast.
Live from Paul's basement.
Wow. It's actually lower level.
It's a lower level. Is that the official real estate term?
Well, it's not actually a basement because it's above grade.
It's a raised above grade.
It's above grade.
And you get a pretty penny for above grade these days, no?
You sure do.
Love that. So I'm jumping right into it because I just got to your house.
You did.
And the first thing Jess says to me is that she thinks the baby's going to fall out. She's ready to go.
She is done. She is over it. She's
baked.
The baby is baked and we are technically 3 weeks out.
Crazy.
So it's getting there. And you said all of your kids were early.
All of them were early. 3 weeks out. That's pretty much Joey came 3 weeks early.
So I could technically be having a kid during
this podcast. That would really do well for views for us if she can just give birth.
She just does the C-section on this table.
Well, I don't know if there'll be somebody around for the C-section, but if she can just give birth here, that would be super helpful for us.
It would. We would probably, hopefully go viral.
Yeah. Tell Jess not to be so selfish and just do it for us.
Give it to the team. One for the team.
We'll
give her points. You'll get some points. You want points?
We'll put it in the baby's fund or something.
Yeah, the baby fund. We have a baby fund.
Do you?
We do, yeah.
We're going to talk about that on our next episode. It's like getting ready for baby life because you're there now. So get ready for that fun stuff because we're going to dive into all the things that you may or may not have done and you need to do right away.
I will write them down.
Or
just rewatch the podcast.
Rewatch it like it's like the Bible, like it's the Torah. Like I want you to study it and like really take it in.
I'll double up on the ADHD meds. So how was your week? You went to a cabin. What was that like?
I went to a cabin in the woods.
Nice.
With
one of my favorite movies, and you have a tattoo of that, actually.
I do. Yeah. I love that movie.
Phenomenal movie.
Yeah, for one of my jobs, I went to a cabin, a little cottage weekend, and we just focused on building the brand.
How was that?
We didn't do anything. No.
Was it successful?
It was super successful. Lots came out of it, but Triber being the I'm type A, but he's like type A in many ways, already has like a full list of things that we have to follow up on from that. Which
is good. Do you find like trips like that because of the kids always being there, like you get way more done?
Oh yeah. That's why we did it. It's called officially. It's in the business world. It's called an offsite
retreat.
It's a retreat. It's an offsite, but retreats can be more leisure. It's an offsite, as in the focus was to do work uninterrupted with no stop time. If we were inspired to do something at 7:30, I wouldn't be like, oh, it's bedtime and this and that. And so at first, Jamie and her family and people didn't really understand why I had to go away to do work, but it makes so much sense. It's like waking up and doing things and just doing things when things make sense, as opposed to forcing it into a small schedule of when you have to drop kids off and pick kids up. Really.
Yeah. And I guess from our experience, we recorded a record in not Baltimore. That was a different band.
In
Ohio.
Steubenville.
Yeah. Cause you wake up, you record. It's just, everything's there. I personally like that because like I did another record in in
Pittsburgh.
in Pittsburgh, and then I did one in Baltimore as well. And
good morning, did you say that when you woke up there in the morning?
Absolutely not. Baltimore is
scary.
So yeah, a little scary. I walked to the aquarium by myself one day because I like sharks.
Yeah, and
it was scary.
The sharks or walking?
Both. Both were terrifying.
What was scarier? The walking.
The Sharks.
Was I with you in Vancouver when it was like we were walking around for an event and then we just walked to the wrong side of town
Yeah.
doing an event?
That happens to me quite often.
I feel like you're a target for that, especially when you walk into the wrong place.
Well,
Like,
I have a weird
you'll
walk.
stand
I
out.
wear extremely skinny jeans.
You're just
I'm
like kind of like
6'3". Like it's.
you can't blend in other words.
I'm not blending in. I stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, it sucks to be you.
It does. Yeah, it's unfortunate being 6'3". I hate it. It's the worst.
Well, listen, that could work for you in the podcast. Self-deprecation, like Howard Stern also goes through that, right? I'm a
He
big,
does.
tall guy. He stands out and he's the biggest.
He is large and in charge. So you're recharged. You're good to go for this next.
Part. We got a January to April kind of plan of launches and all very exciting.
Why
Work
don't
is
you
busy.
plug it? Just plug it right now. Just tell them what.
I've told it. Yeah, well, this part of my world is Goldie's Super Seed cereal.
Yep.
But lots of new products coming out.
Yep.
Little changes.
I'm excited. Are you allowed to talk
Exciting.
about it?
No.
No.
It's going to be
sworn to secrecy.
stay tuned for March 1st when the teasers begin.
March 1st.
Yeah, I'm planning ahead.
You heard it here, ladies and gents.
Plan to win or fail to plan. I don't know.
It's
It's a Wayne Gretzky quote.
We're way better at movie quotes than sports ones.
And we watched a lot of movies.
Sports movies too.
We watched everything. And
Angels in the outfield.
speaking of
That's how I do
watching
it.
things,
Yeah, let's do it.
and speaking of
Oh, he's
movies,
sliding in.
today's episode is all about screen time, watching
You
things.
got him.
Listen, you need to have your phones near you, and it's very different than when we were kids. I'll tell you that much.
Sure, yeah.
And we'll get into the second part of screen time, which is the whole social media kind of world,
Okay.
which I'm starting to be exposed to from my kids in a different way.
Oh,
So yeah, it's crazy. What's your whole? But before I tell you any stories or my thoughts and theories and dad advice on screen time, have you and Jess had conversations about screen time, or it's like not really?
well, like
Whatever it is. But like, are you like? Because we were like, we want to like most parents, we want to minimize screen time. We want to make sure that they do this and that and watch this and do their homework before they watch that.
That's how your parents were.
My parents were not like
That's
that.
what I'm saying. Like I feel when we grew up with TV, like
Oh, yeah, on
TV
TV.
raised us, right?
Totally.
So like, no, I think like I'm just gonna be down. Like let's see how it goes. Like I don't want it to be such a strict regiment in my head, just
Yeah.
because I know how life is and shit happens, and sometimes you need to throw an iPad at a kid,
For sure.
or we'll let them watch something. I
Yeah,
meant like physically throw an iPad. at
well,
a
that
kid.
works too, because if
It
you
does.
knock them out, then
Then
they're not bothering you anymore.
for a couple hours. You're good.
Yeah, screen time is a tricky thing. It's hard to find a balance, and there's so many nuances to like, screen time and quality, right? Like that's a big part of it. It's like not only like should they watch or shouldn't they watch? Like we said, we watched our whole
Everything.
lives, and
Yeah.
we're okay with TV. I love TV.
You just
Sorry,
said
I
that
just freaked out.
15. He just
No,
stroked
it's-
out people.
Must have been the screen time.
Yeah, like I think that like that actually kept us home, because like TGIF every Friday night, they
Yeah.
were just like amazing shows.
Yeah, it was TGIF was a big thing for us because we didn't go out on Friday nights.
Yeah,
and
or-
also like the 4 to like after school to like the 6:30 kind of time slot.
Yeah.
Because for me, I don't know, did you go home to parents after school? Or did you have a nanny or something, or
No,
your
we went-
brothers?
I yeah, with all of the above.
Were your parents home?
Sometimes,
Yeah.
mostly like my dad traveled a lot, and my mom worked retail, so
So she was usually home by then.
It depends, yeah, but like I don't know.
Yeah, for me, you don't know
I
who
don't
raised
know.
you.
I think like I keep telling my mom that I remember me being home alone from like the age of like, I want to say like 9 or 10.
I think it's true because I think I remember my memories are that your family was the place for us to go to hang out with no rules.
Yeah, we had no, yeah.
Right? Like my house was see again, my parents worked, they didn't get home till like 6:30. I had a nanny. And so
Yeah.
it's not like she played games with us. We'd come home, me and my sister, we'd watch TV from like 4 to 6:30 and eat dinner. So we watched like all the shows like Full House and whatever, Family Matters. I don't know if that was on at that point,
That
but
was Friday night.
But yeah, we just really watched TV all the time. And I said this in a previous podcast. I attribute to a lot of like our comedy and our jokes and stuff to TV because it was so great. But now kids don't just come home and watch what's on. If we're talking about television shows, my kids don't flip through channels and watch TV. we flip through apps and they look for
True.
things to
Do you,
stream.
do you have cable?
So we have like a soft version of cable. Like
Okay.
so Bell 5 has like basically 5 TV or Crave,
Okay.
which gets like a few channels, but we rarely ever go to that. It's only like, to be honest, I only put it on sometimes when I want to watch like the news or something.
Yeah.
But other than that, my kids don't watch content on TV, and they don't even really watch content, although they do, but they would like to not watch content on like Netflix or Disney. Like Joey loves YouTube. For her, that's her main source of stuff. And we had to
Same.
ban it in our house.
Same. Like YouTube is probably what I consume the most.
Yeah.
Which is
so you're
like
like an
we
8-year-old
have-
girl.
I am an 8-year-old girl in this body,
There you go.
which makes sense.
I
'cause
can't argue
my
that.
legs just haven't grown.
Grown.
But yeah, like YouTube is, I was on YouTube for a long time. It's something that I consume. I learn everything from YouTube. Like it's,
Educationally, it's
we're
good. Like
on
if you need to
YouTube.
learn something.
you should like,
Check us
subscribe, all that fun stuff.
Bing. Oh, no, it's too early.
It's too early.
But that's the thing. It's like they want to watch what they want to watch. And we are now, put away like minimizing screen time because there's so many screens,
But they
right?
learn on screens now. Like
Everything
that's,
is screens. Listen, they were in school on screens
Do you-
for a while
do your
because
kids
of the
get laptops? Laptops?
They don't get laptops.
My nephews
um,
do.
They're probably in private school.
Nah, French immersion.
Yeah, maybe there, but
Yeah, they get
No.
like MacBooks, man. It's crazy.
yeah, no, we don't. They don't have that. But kids don't even like my kids don't even care about computers. Like they think computers are like an outdated thing.
So
They're
what-
like iPads
Oh, okay.
and phones. They don't have their own phones or their own iPads. They use ours. But that's where they watch 80% of the things that they consume. And we now have to make rules and make guidelines and set limits because they're in a position to, when you were a kid, you had your main TV, and if someone was
Yeah.
watching, you weren't watching. Now they can each have their own iPads.
I had a TV in my room.
Even so, like, it doesn't matter if
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, each kid could have their own iPad, screen, phone. It can all be there.
Yeah.
And so you have to really stay on top of it because it can get out of control. And that's why, like, me and Jamie banned YouTube watching in our house if we're not in the room. Like, so if Joey wants to watch it on the TV,
hmm
then she can watch it as long as we approve what she put on and we're there.
Are there parental settings? I think there's like a
There
whole
are
kids.
settings, but there is kids
well, I've
YouTube.
heard like horror stories about
I'll
kids
tell
YouTube.
you one. It's nuts. Like I've experienced it. So like Sonny used to be really into Peppa Pig.
Okay.
And so we would watch Peppa Pig on Netflix, or we'd also watch it on YouTube because they would just have like, the good thing about YouTube is that it would be like 2 hours. Peppa Pig episodes are short. So it'd be like episode after episode all in one video. So you don't need to like click a button. Like she didn't know how to click buttons and all that stuff, right? So it was a good place to just watch, hours of Peppa if you wanted to and start at any moment. And one day she's watching it and we're like, this looks really strange. And it was like a Peppa parody
Oh, okay. I think I know what
that
you're
was
talking
like super offside
about. Okay.
and saying some really crazy shit.
Okay.
And it was on YouTube Kids. It gets buried. Like people are out there are sick and they find like these kind of like ways to maneuver
Yeah.
the content, even if it's kid rated, because the animation, the voices, all that stuff is similar.
Well,
but
I-
they start saying shit and they start dying and like
I heard like
crazy
there was a lot
stuff.
of like sexual shit.
There is that too, right?
Yeah, like they were like superheroes, but they were like people. Like it was like live action, like
Yeah.
diddling.
Yeah, and they do that and it happens. So that's
Yeah.
why YouTube is still like the Wild West for content in many ways.
We love YouTube.
We love YouTube.
YouTube, you are the best thing
for
ever.
adults. When we get posted, are we listed for like
No, it's not for kids.
it's not for kids, right?
No.
So people can comment and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like kid stuff you can't
Your mom
comment.
comments.
Yeah, that's
She's,
the only
"You're such
person.
a great son.
I raised you right.
And my parents are like, why do you hate us so much?
Yeah.
It's-
I've said some. Oh, I get some stuff sometimes too. My mom will follow up
I
with me
think
like,
I think they stopped watching, to be honest, everyone
Probably.
on my side.
that's the whole point is to
Yeah.
filter out that.
Yeah.
So really it comes down to like, we're not so against screen time, but it has to be quality screen time. And so
Yeah.
we pick and choose what they can and can't watch because like you said, there is a lot of like educational great things you can get off of screens.
So you said they don't have their own screens yet.
No,
Has Joey started asking for like an iPhone?
she's asked for a phone. So my mom gave her, or Jamie's mom, I can't remember who, gave her like an old phone.
What kind?
It's like an iPhone,
Okay.
like old
Not like playing
iPhone.
Snake. Be like, this is what we
Yeah,
used to
yeah. She's
do.
playing Brick Breaker on her
Yeah.
BlackBerry.
Yeah.
So she gave her old phone. She like loves it. It's
Okay.
not connected to anything.
So she just looks at it.
Well,
it's
it's
like,
on.
oh, my precious.
Well, it has Wi-Fi, so you can watch on
Okay.
it, but she's not making calls and all that stuff. And we'll get into that when we start talking about socials. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
it's just like the chatting and the messages, and
Yeah.
you start communicating with people. That's a whole other world. But she has her own phone, so yeah, she wants it. And the reality is we don't want her to have her own phone, but we want her to have her own phone. And so it's like a kind of a catch-22. Like, the great things about technology and all that stuff is it adds an extra level of like safety for us, right?
Yeah.
If she's walking somewhere or going somewhere, she's not doing this yet, but she will be in the near future, even just walking to school, it would be great for her to have a phone. She should have a phone. But then again, she shouldn't have a phone. And so it's so hard
I get it,
to
yeah.
navigate this world because we grew up
Like
into technology.
Yeah, like we'd go out and our parents would just hope we get home somehow.
Yeah, maybe we got pagers later in high school.
No, but like
and
when
stuff,
we were like
but
12 and stuff.
totally, we'd go for bike rides and we'd have to come back. And so having a phone in those scenarios, luckily, like, we were all fine, but having a phone in those scenarios would have been a great luxury and safety device
Yeah.
to have. Having said that, it's also a very scary thing to have. It's a portal
It's dangerous.
into the world, and the exposure of the world is in their hands. And when they're not with you, you can't control that. And so, like, again, growing up, our parents never had to deal with this. This is a new phenomenon that we're dealing with. Our
Yeah.
age group is dealing with, because, you know, we talked about, and this is an extreme, but we talked about like how we used to consume porn as kids.
But
Like,
I'm just like, I would literally was just thinking that, like, sitting at our like desktop computers being like boobs.
yeah.
And it would just like come
And it
in
would be,
so
and it would be like
slow.
terrible. Like, it wouldn't be like graphic content usually.
Well,
For the
speak-
most part, you had a
speak for
crazy,
yourself.
you had like a crazy like American like jail bit break, like,
yeah. Oh,
you
it's-
know, satellite
I got
dish.
that
But
good,
most
good.
people didn't have. That was a luxury item,
Sure.
and most people didn't have that. We watched like Fuzzies, is what we watched growing
Yes.
up. It's like pay-per-view channels that we
like,
didn't get, but
Oh, it's
we're
a,
like,
it's a nipple.
it's a nip. Nope,
No,
nope, that's a
an
toe.
elbow.
That's
Yeah.
that's an elbow.
That's weird.
And so now kids are exposed to that shit so early. And so if they have these devices, it takes one word, one link to see some hardcore shit. And so that whole part is scary. So like technology and screens, you know, going back to the more wholesome part of this is that like screens are great. They help you in moments of need,
Of course.
but they can't be your only clutch, right? You need to put in the effort as a parent. Like, it's so much easier to say like, here, watch this while you want to do something.
Yeah.
And it takes obviously a lot more effort to engage with them and do something with them. Now, of course, if I'm working, like today, for example,
Yeah.
I had to take Atlas for an eye doctor appointment at like 11 o'clock.
Oh.
So I wasn't going to drive him to school and then bring him home and then drive down there. So I kept him home, but I had a lot of work to do this morning. And so I went into the basement. I turned on the screen, TV, our projection movie screen,
Yep.
and he sat and watched quietly without bugging me for like an hour and a half.
What's his go-to?
And it was great. He loves Blue's Clues.
That's the dog.
That's a dog.
It's live action.
And
It's
the
like a-
guy. It's like a guy. I don't even know his name. I think it's Josh, or that might be the original one. I don't know their names. I don't even absorb any of this. But yeah, he watched, sat there, and I got stuff done uninterrupted. Because if that screen didn't exist, because I've done it before, I'm like, you're not watching. Play with these toys.
Yeah.
He would be coming into the room every 2 seconds. So sometimes it's a necessity.
What would he be doing at daycare though? Like, are you
There's no screens there.
so? But I'm saying, so you took him out of like a learning opportunity to just.
I didn't
watch
take
a
him out.
blue dog?
He had a doctor appointment.
Okay.
And he had to stay home. Otherwise, I would be driving him there at like 8:30 and picking him up an hour later.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense. I had to keep him home. Road trips, right? Like
Yeah,
when we drove to
it's-
Florida,
Yeah.
having the iPads is a luxury. At that point, it's a
Yeah.
luxury that you take advantage of, because what else are they going to do? We colored, we did
No,
stupid things. We
I
listened
also
to
had
music.
like I had Game Boy and stuff like that.
Exactly, which is
Yeah.
another form of a screen,
Yeah.
right? So it existed back then.
but not to the extent. So like without it, like let's say there were no screens for your kids,
Yeah, I don't know.
what would you do?
We would do what our parents did. It's also like
So if your Wi-Fi
a product
goes down,
of it's a product of today, right? So in other words, if you don't have it because it doesn't exist, you don't know what you're missing, right? But now if I tell my kids in a moment where they would likely be watching something that they can't watch, then they know what they're missing, right? It's almost like kind of first world problems.
Yeah.
We didn't know better. So
For
it
sure.
didn't exist, but so we have to set limits and we have to have rules, and they need to be malleable because situations change. So for example, on weekdays, Joey, who would be the one who would watch something at night because she's staying up longer than Sunny and Atlas.
Mm-hmm.
On weekdays, she can't watch the iPad before she goes to bed. And usually it's only like a 35 to 45 minute window before she goes to bed.
Yeah.
But she would go in her room and watch the iPad always.
I think scientifically
Jamie-
you're not supposed to do that.
You're definitely not supposed to do
Yeah.
that. And we see the repercussions of it both that night and the next morning
Yeah.
when she watches. Like it's tangible. And so we had to pull it away. We had to say, okay, you know what? Because what happens is like when you have 3 kids,
Mhm.
is you're dealing with the 2 younger ones because they need the most help.
You just keep ironing that point home, man. You
Stop.
do.
Don't even say
I was
it.
like, when you have 3 kids, it's so hard.
It's so good. So
but having
Sunny
one
is
sucks.
being put to bed by one person, and Joey's being Atlas is being put by the other, and Joey is being essentially like left on her own. And so it's simple for us to use the iPad as the clutch, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, we started seeing behavior changes. She's more tired in the morning, more anxious, whatever it is. So on weekdays, there's no screen time at all. She can go in a room, and we created a bucket of things for her to pick from, whether it's books or toys or coloring or activities. And now that's become normal. And now we've curved the behavior.
So every time I go for dinner, and if I'm at a place where
Yeah.
families would go and I see a kid just sitting on his iPad,
yeah, it grinds your gears.
it's just like, it's kind of weird to me.
yeah.
And I feel like, they're probably also not focusing on their food that they should be eating.
Yeah.
But like, are you guys like that parent?
So it's interesting. For Joey and Sunny,
Yeah.
when we went for dinner, we never did it
Okay.
because we could. It was fine. They were good. But now that Atlas has come around, now that he's joined the family,
Yeah.
we've been doing it a little bit. And the reason why is this: we don't let him do it when the food comes. But when we get into a restaurant, his patience, and I don't know if it's a boy thing, I don't know if it's just because he's the 3rd kid, he is very impatient as soon as we get in a restaurant.
It's a 3rd kid thing.
And yeah, 3rd kid, exactly.
I'm
3rd
the
kid,
3rd kid.
And boy.
Yeah.
He's impatient. He wants food. There's pressure on us as the parents to keep them quiet, to not disrupt other people, right? And so I feel for parents, and I get it sometimes. It all comes down to the intent. Like if that's the first thing you do and from they're born, it's like going out, put the kid down, put the iPad. We only pull it out when we feel things are going off the rails.
Okay.
And we don't have an iPad with us. I have my iPhone. And if we order our food and it starts taking a while and he starts getting whatever, I'm like, you want to watch? That's my last bullet in the chamber. It's like, do you want to watch some Blue's Clues? Sure. And boom, he's
and then
watching it.
Then he just chills.
Quiet, chilled, sitting there, great, comfortable.
What about the other 2?
They're fine. They don't need to watch.
And they don't like
They
fight
don't.
over
No,
who gets
they're
to watch
okay with
or-
it
Okay.
because they get it. And so maybe that's a nod to maybe some of the things that we did right.
Well, I was going to say, do
But-
you think you started him on screens too early? Because the
They all
other
started
2,
that early.
But the other 2 were already established, right? So by the 3rd
Yeah.
one, and it's my theory, you're a lot more lenient with the youngest.
Well, you're more lenient because your time is more concise. Also, the other 2 are older, are watching screens early. So when Joey was born, me and Jamie can control ourselves and not watch TV.
Yeah,
But if Joey's watching something and Sunny's watching something, Atlas will see that they're watching something
and get jealous.
and he rules. Like whatever he wants to watch is what's watched.
He's
so my
like that
kids don't
guy in
watch.
prison who chooses what's on the big TV.
Totally chooses from
Yeah.
the big TV. And now like Joey and Sunny have just adopted and will watch his stuff.
So they're pushovers.
But what we try to do is if we're going to have exposure to TV, and that's or screens or whatever, is that we try to make it a family thing. So it's still a family moment.
Yeah.
It's still us doing it together. So in other words, if Atlas is sitting next to me because we're in a moment that we're watching, let's say our TV and we're watching Blue's Clues, I won't necessarily, and I do this sometimes if I'm working, of course, or doing something else, but I won't sit on my phone necessarily and watch my own content. I'll join him and watch with him and still try to make it a family time moment,
Yeah.
which is tough to do. But we don't watch for that long, and we're not home that much that we're over inundated with screen time. Like weekends,
It was
our
probably it
activities.
was a lot more probably during COVID. Or
Oh yeah,
this-
COVID,
this
and
C
that's
word.
kind of where Joey's acting came from. Is
Yeah.
that she was watching way more
Joey's
TVs, at Joey's kitchen,
Yep.
and we were watching a lot more TV, and she started recognizing that there's kid actors, and she goes, I want to do that, because she was doing like little magazines and commercials and small
Sure.
stuff, but she saw kids doing real roles
Yeah.
because we just like powered through movies and stuff, and she's like, I wanted to do that, so she asked for it, and we started working on it. So it's crazy. It's a balancing act, and you have to set
Boundaries.
boundaries,
Yeah.
and those boundaries can change, but it can't be a free for all. You have to pick your moments and not be afraid that people might judge the things you do, whether it's them watching a screen on an airplane or in a restaurant.
Mhm.
Sometimes you got to just do what works for you.
So then how do you get time to watch, like you just told me I should watch a show. How do you get time to do that kind of
I
stuff?
don't.
Like, because
So-
they're not, is there like a certain, like maybe adult show that you would let slide and let them watch?
Only when I mentioned this before, when me and Joey have like movie nights,
Yeah.
we usually watch a movie that we both enjoy.
Okay.
But-
But you also think like a child, but like
Yeah,
they're
but
not going to be watching like freaking The Expendables or
no. Like, no, well, I'll have to watch like a comedy.
I just said out of
Expendable.
all the movies I could say, I said The Expendables.
Listen,
I
I
did
won't
just
let
watch-
Joey watch it. I tried that once. I let Joey watch, like, because she was my first kid, we started testing. So I started watching like Marvel movies with her,
Okay.
and she loved them. But then she started having some nightmares.
About like,
I don't know, just scary, right? They interpret things differently. So it was like scary to her.
yeah, I remember when my
I mean, she was
nephews-
3 or like 2 or something. So
You're like, here's they're going to snap and everyone's going to disappear. Sorry, Joey, no snapping. But like, I remember when my nephews, because like someone like me, and I guess obviously someone like you, like
yeah,
it's the movies that we want to get them into.
yeah.
My nephew started watching the Harry Potter stuff, and the first couple
Joey
are
loves
good,
it too. Yeah,
and then it
gets scary.
it gets kind of
dark.
yeah, like
When what's his name dies is
you're not
really
supposed to say his name.
no, not Voldemort.
Don't say his name.
It's not like Bloody Mary.
Don't do that either.
There's a reflection.
Oh my god! I'm
No,
taking
when
in all
when Robert
reflections.
Pattinson's character died.
That's Twilight.
No, he was in Harry Potter. You think you're a Harry Potter fan?
Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, he was. I mean, I'm a pretty big fan, but I don't even remember his name. Yeah, he died in like
Yeah.
like in the
yeah.
maze.
There were a lot of people that died in those movies.
Yeah,
No, like
later on.
actual-
But he
no,
was,
no, no.
Like
Like-
the Wizard of Oz, like someone died on
No,
set.
there were a few. Did you hear that? This is obviously a tangent because welcome to the Dad Collective where we tangent a lot.
Tangent a lot.
So Harry's stunt double
Yeah.
in the last movie broke his back, and
Yes, and
he's doing a documentary about it, which looks amazing.
really.
Yeah, because
What's
like
that on?
he's fully. It comes out. I think it comes out in 2 weeks, and it was in like Cannes, and it did the festival circuit. It looks awesome.
He's just
How
getting something out of that whole ordeal. Yeah, I heard.
But he's like there for him too, because like your shit, he worked with him throughout everything.
yeah, you become family.
And yeah, like it's crazy. So be careful on set
Be careful on set on the silver screen.
on the silver screen.
That's a
Silver
connection.
City.
But here's the last part about like the screen time before we start maybe talking about social media and some other things. But the important thing is actions are everything. And so what I mean by that is that if you want to minimize your kids' screen time
Yeah.
for whatever reason, because you think they're doing too much, or you just want to be a little bit more strict with that, and that's okay. What works for you doesn't work for others, and there is no right or wrong way to really approach it. But if your rules are like screen time's minimized or we're not watching now, you have to role model that. So in other words, you can't tell your kids
Not to watch it. when
not
you're
watch
watching.
while you're sitting on your phone.
But daddy's in
and
an
wa-
offer.
Yeah, it's
Am I-
different.
it's like,
You jump
why?
in and out, jump whatever.
yeah.
But like, it's a bit, and it's tough to do for sure because we are all addicted to our own screens in our own ways.
For sure.
But you really need to, when it comes to all kids' behavior, just telling them not to do something is not enough. You need to do it
Lead
yourself.
by example.
You have to. It
gotta.
means more than anything. And I notice that, and I'm not perfect, and Jamie's not perfect. But as long as you recognize it, it really helps. You can't, an obvious example is you can't tell your kids not to swear if you're going to swear.
That's gonna be so hard.
We don't tell our kids not to swear.
Oh, see,
And I mentioned this before, like, I'll tell you,
Oh,
I'll
there
tell you a
is-
funny
look at-
swearing story.
let's hear it.
But yeah, you can't, we tell our kids that we swear.
Yeah.
And it's okay in the house.
But there's got to be some words that they shouldn't.
There's
say.
no words that are not off limits. Obviously, we don't bring words in that we would think are way too far, and that's just they're just words. But it's about being respectful. And I think I said this before. It's like if my kid told me to fuck off, that's not okay.
Sure.
But if they stubbed their toe and said fuck,
Yeah.
That's funny and that's okay and that's fine in the house.
Yeah. I think it would be so funny. Just this is how my twisted brain works.
Yeah.
If you take a normal word and you
Made it like a swear word.
and you convince your kid that like
Zingle-bops.
no, but like saying like, oh, bananas,
Yeah.
that's like a word you just never say.
That they use all the time. And so they hear
I
it in
just
school
want-
and stuff.
Yeah. And they're just like,
And they're
what?
like, no.
Yeah, don't
they're
say that.
shaking. They're shaking.
Yeah. Goes to the fetal position.
But
that would be funny.
It would-
Sorry.
So try that.
Oh, sorry. What's his name gonna be?
Oh, today.
Randall. Sorry, Randall.
Can we call him Randy for short?
Sure.
Or Rand?
Rand McMahon. Sounds like a
Rand the man.
Ran the man. Ran.
But yeah, speaking of swearing and tangents.
No, this was good.
So this happened today, and I was telling you this earlier
Yeah.
because I'm like, can I tell this story? I'm like, it's
He
not really on
couldn't.
topic, but
I told him to save it for the pod. He doesn't care about you people as much as I do.
I needed to, it'll be funnier this time because anyways. So I'm driving home. I picked up Atlas from daycare and we're driving home. And so I'm pretty quiet. I'm asking about his day, whatever. And he drives with me, obviously, often. He's not driving alone. But like when I'm in a car, and you're like this too, I think, when people do stupid shit on the road,
Yeah.
I get angry in my core to a point that I can't even describe.
Oh yeah. It's a whole.
It's an anger level.
It's phenomenal. I like it.
saved for
I like
just
it.
the worst people in the world.
Sure.
And so sometimes when I'm driving and somebody does something stupid, I will swear at them and say like, "What the fuck?" Or like I'll just yell. I'm like,
I'll
"What?"
find your family. I'll kill all of them.
Yeah, like things
Yeah.
along that line.
Yeah.
I will just swear and whatever. It's just part of my daily routine. And so anyway, so in this particular drive, I'm driving home. I'm not swearing. I haven't done anything. No one's pissed me off. And I'm at a left-hand turning lane, about to go left, which is what you
That's
do in a
normally
left-hand
what you
turning
do.
lane. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we're waiting
that's a
for the
thing.
advanced screen, and we all fucking know those people. I've been one of them, to be honest,
Oh no.
who get an advanced screen and don't go right away off the hop because they're distracted by their screens,
I don't
by
look
their
at,
phones,
I don't look at my phone. when
and
I
you got to
drive.
give a little honk, which might turn into a big honk, which will turn into swearing. So advanced green light turns on, comes on, doesn't go. I wait a second, I wait 2 seconds, doesn't go. So I'm still calm, cool. I'm in no rush. I give him a little tap honk, and my new car has a great tap
It's a
honk.
love. It's a love tap.
It's a love tap.
Little love
and you
tap.
need to buy a car. When you're buying a car, you got to get a car with a great honk. My last car had a horrible one. This one you can tap, and it gives you that feeling of it's a love tap. Like, hey, sorry to bug you.
Boop.
Sorry
sir.
to bug you.
Boop.
And so I give it a little love tap, and immediately, as soon as I honk, which is why I think he's a genius kid, he knew the reason why I was honking, and from the back seat, in the tone that I would say it, he goes, "Fucking moron!" And I just started breaking down. Like, this is from a 2-year-old's mouth, so it's obviously not super clear, but the words were very clear, and I'm laughing, and I immediately like question him about why he said it, and I call Jamie, and I call my mom, and I call my sister to tell the story,
didn't
because
call
I've
me.
never ever heard him say that.
I love how Sonny had an accent, and now Atlas kind of sounds like a mad New Yorker.
Atlas is I would describe him as a mad New Yorker. Atlas, no, Sonny has an accent, and if
She
anyone
sounded
who
like a
knows Sonny,
Russian spy.
she sounds like that. You haven't spoken to her that much,
No.
but she has an
I don't even
accent.
think
I
last
don't
time I
know
saw
why.
her, she knew how to speak. Did you make the advance though, or were
I
you too
made
busy
it.
laughing?
I was laughing, but I was laughing as I was turning.
Okay,
It was so funny.
that's Maybe we'll put that at the end of because you have a clip.
The starter clip, or is a reel?
No, at the end,
And
like a little bonus. So you guys got to watch this to the end to find it.
oh, the video, yeah, because Jamie
This is
after
how you do. It's like the YouTube thing. You say something's happening at the end of the
got
thing,
it.
and they-
Yeah, I'll
they
put that
watch
on.
this all.
So yeah, but and the reason why there is a clip, I wasn't filming while I was driving, but after I told my wife the story tonight while she was putting him to bed, she was filming him and she was asking him, "What did you say when Daddy honked his horn?" And he was very candid. He didn't hold back, and he told her exactly what he said. So
Are you worried that
he'll swear like school and stuff.
no, but like one of their friends will go home and be like, "Fuck you, mom,"
I don't care.
and they were like, "Oh, where'd you learn that?" And it was Atlas,
I don't care.
and then we had to beat that kid up for being a tattletale.
I'm not so worried about that. What I am worried about, because it just happened to me, is that Joey, like there's a kid that Joey hangs out with that
Okay.
we don't, I don't
Just
know.
say
this
you just
kid.
don't like them. Just say
I
you don't like
I don't
it.
like them
Why?
for whatever reason.
They smell weird.
Just from the story she tells me of whatever. And again, this is from a story, right? She doesn't hang out at her house, so I don't really know much about her. But I don't like the stories I hear coming home from
spill
school.
the tea, sis.
I think I mentioned this in a previous podcast about the kids' friends.
Oh, is it the spitter?
It wasn't the spitter. It was the lunch stealer.
The lunch. Oh, now you got it.
I told you that story.
You haven't told these people.
No, I told you that story in the podcast. I brought it up before.
Maybe we haven't posted it yet.
Maybe.
Oh,
it's in one of the episodes. If it wasn't, then I'll save it for the last episode because we'll have to see. But
lunch stealer. I like.
Yeah, there's
this.
a kid stealing snacks and lunches from. But anyways, she's whatever she is. So Joey told that kid that her parents don't like her.
Wait. Say that again. She told
the kid
that her parents don't like her.
That we don't like the kid.
Oh, I thought you meant she told her like your parents don't like you.
No.
That would be so much funnier.
That'd be bad too. But she goes, I can't hang out with you. My parents don't like you. And so like we were like, fuck, Joey, just don't say. You don't have to say that.
Are you
shit.
vocal about it around her? You're like, this kid sucks.
Jamie is, and I tell her, Jamie, to not talk so openly about it. Like there's ways to curb your kid from hanging out with someone. Jamie is very blunt and straightforward. If you know her, you know her. And she said like, you know, she basically told her straight up. She doesn't
we don't like her.
We don't want you. She's not a good person. Like she's
not welcome here.
She's not welcome in our lives. And so she told them, and that part's embarrassing. But to me, swearing, I don't care.
So what happened then? So she went and told her
I don't know.
parents.
This happened like yesterday. I don't know what happened
So
yet.
you don't know what the repercussions are?
The jury's out. We're waiting for the repercussions.
You're just like that phone rings. You're like, what did you say about my kid?
Nothing will happen. It's just that they'll be aware. And then yesterday when I picked up the kid, I saw the kid's parents after this happened.
Was it awkward?
Nothing happened. No, nothing's awkward with me because I don't pay lip service to it.
But I think if they do call you and you'd be like, why don't you like my daughter? Call. What if they do? And they're like, why don't you like my daughter? And then you make up something so severe.
No, I'll just be honest.
Like she ripped off all the heads of Joey's dolls.
Like all burn them in the backfield of the school.
So one time, funny kid story, actually. I remember walking into my nephew. My nephews are really into Lego. And
Lego's the best though.
I hated Lego. I never liked Lego. I liked video games. Anyways,
that's not weird. We all love video games.
Yeah.
But Lego is great. I liked it later on in life.
So I go into his room and there's like a bunch of like figure people and he's just driving the cars over the people. And I was like, this is awesome. Keep doing it. I'm like, you do you.
Faster.
Because I'm just like, you know, let kids be kids. You know? They want to run people over with their cars.
But we did all that. Like we cut, like I wasn't with you, but maybe you heard the story. When I was a kid, me and Temmie took a ET doll and we had an X-Acto knife playing in my basement. We were like in grade like 4.
Why were you playing with an X-Acto knife? Maybe your parents
weren't around.
Maybe your parents should have been there.
I should have had screen time at that moment, but instead I was using my imagination. Me and Temmie dissected a like stuffed. It was like a leather kind of exterior ET doll, but the inside was cotton and stuff. We dissected it, cut it up, put it into a bucket, and duct taped the bucket closed.
I want you guys to go back and watch episode 5 and see some similarities of what's going on here.
What was episode 5?
When she talked about
cutting
and pushing Jamie down the stairs because it would be funny.
You have a good memory.
I have a fantastic memory.
Yeah, so kids do fucked up shit.
I see similarities here. And
we drew death machines murdering our teachers.
I was actually thinking about calling my mom because I used to write horror stories.
Yeah.
And
you
trying
think
to get
you still
a couple.
have? Yeah,
I think she still does because my parents have everything.
You did it in school, right? Like we did it in school
for a project, and it was bound.
And they bound them.
Yeah,
we used to write those too, and like we wrote pretty graphic stories, and our teachers just printed them and bound them and gave them back to us.
I remember writing a story about a girl who always wore a ribbon around her neck.
Yeah, and then her head fell off.
Yeah,
that story.
I wrote that story.
No, you didn't write that story. That's in Scary Stories.
Did I rip someone off?
You ripped someone off.
I was plagiarizing as a kid. So speaking of scary stories, social media has a totally scary side. You're not the only one who could do transitions here.
That's not a good transition.
That was fantastic.
Scary side of social media. That's all. It's alliteration.
I love it, but it's creepy as fuck. It really is.
Yeah, and you have to pick and choose what you're going to expose them to and at what age.
Because like
it is the Wild West. I talked about Scream, but that really is the Wild West because we don't know the repercussions of it.
And I guess this can only be right now because who knows what's going to happen when, Randall is 10 years old.
Yeah.
I see Randall being a little real estate tycoon with a name like Randall.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's super creepy. It always brings me back to Degrassi, where I think the new Degrassi, where she was talking to some man online. It was like a season finale, and she goes to meet him.
Yeah,
and she gets locked in a hotel room. And
that was a good episode. That was like season 1, right?
It was like a 2-piecer. Yeah, I think she was really young at that point.
Yeah,
but like that's a reality of things, man. Like,
And that's an extreme reality, which
but
is fine.
But not all. It's only
No, it's definitely not always. But
it's
like, there's
only
so
extreme
many
until it's happening to you.
obviously, and then it's more extreme when
Then
it
it's
happens to you.
more extreme.
Woo! Yeah, meeting catfish people. No,
do.
but there's so many minute little things that you have to be aware of, and there's so much education that needs to happen on an ongoing basis.
Is that being taught now?
I think
in
it probably
school?
is
It
in high
should.
school, but I guess it's like,
It
you
should be.
know, it's probably too late at that point. It needs to start early. The kids are getting
That's-
more exposed, and luckily there's more, you know,
Wait a second. Does Joey run her Instagram?
no. And that's a good thing about Instagram. So on Instagram, if you're under the age of, I forget the age, it might be 15, 16. It's not like 18, but if
Yeah.
you're like under the age of 14 or 15, you have to put in their account profile managed by parents.
Oh,
Otherwise they will delete it.
yeah.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's for acting, right? Like, you know, people will have, Joey will have an account.
Yeah. You have to.
So you have to manage it, right? But like, there's so many things in social media.
Are
that-
her friends on it?
So on what, right?
Like
so we have to talk about
Snapchats
platforms.
or-
So no, like she's not into Snapchat yet. She's not into like the main ones. She's not on Instagram. She'll never be on Facebook. That's like an older thing. She's not on TikTok.
Okay.
And I can tell you stories. My niece is on TikTok, right? And she has so many rules. So luckily my sister has older kids, so I can kind of use that path to help.
What kind of like views are they getting? Because like we need some help.
So they're not getting, so she's not getting views because that's part of it. So
Neither are
she's
we.
only allowed to use TikTok internally, right? So you can have a non-public account, obviously. And
Yeah.
so she only makes TikToks to share with her friends and send to them, and they send to her. But she can't have, obviously, like strangers can't see her TikTok, and she can't add people as friends without my sister's permission. So that's one way of kind of, you know, navigating it. But like, so where it's starting with Joey, and I mentioned this before, is like she wants to message her friends, right? She wants
Yeah.
to chat with her friends who are on Facebook Messenger Kids. So it's an app made by Facebook
Okay.
that's like Messenger that and I mentioned this before, that we can oversee and
Yeah.
see that stuff. But just because we have involvement in it doesn't mean it's good. And so one of the conversations, you know, that kids need to understand, and we have, is that, and we're not having it yet, but we're about to, is that there are different realities. So you just, you know, your friends, there's a different type of friendship of in-person friends and like
Yep.
social media friends. Like we discovered that our generation with Facebook, right? We had so many
Yeah.
friends on Facebook, and they're not all your friends. They're not, you know, they're not your
Facebook.
friends.
I had MySpace.
Exactly.
I had,
MySpace,
I
our
had,
top
like-
eight,
yeah.
top eight, right?
Well, I had like over 100,000 freaking followers on MySpace.
Yeah. And look at your drop off now.
It's horrible.
Nothing.
I'm washed up.
You're washed up, and we're trying to crawl our way
Yeah.
back.
But that's
Um,
but you know, we came from a generation of, this is when people started to talk to strangers. We carved that out.
Yeah.
We carved out the online
Yeah.
stranger
It started
danger.
with like Yahoo Chats and MSN Messenger and,
and
all
like
that
us
stuff.
like on message boards
Yeah.
talking, you know what I mean? Like we carved that out.
We were
And
a part of
shit
it.
got weird. People started killing themselves over
Yeah.
online bullies.
And that's
And-
what it's the
And
reality.
but the thing is, like, that starts young. Like you're
Starting younger and younger.
it was like 12-year-olds. Now it could be 10-year-olds,
Yeah.
right? Like you never know, or someone pretending to be your parent's friend, or
Yeah. It's like the real world
how do
issues
you,
happening.
because you said before that Joey, let's call it, she overthinks things and she worries, right?
Yes.
So like, how do you be like, hey, there's like fucking weirdos out there, without paralyzing her?
Yeah. So I think you have to, and this is what we're going to have to do. And again, luckily we're not there yet fully. You know, it's funny, like we've had sex talks already,
What kind of-
but just like she knows how babies are made, like the real way. She understands it. There's a great book, and we went through it, and because she starts to ask questions, right?
can you
Share the
me-
book with you,
please?
just so you could like.
I'm still
"Oh,
waiting.
yeah.
I keep looking at this guy for the stork.
Oh yeah, look at that uvula.
I'm like, where's
You're a
Randall?
sicko.
No, I just don't get how
Oh, you
our
don't know how it
baby
works?
is made. When a man
Oh.
loves a woman, he sticks his dick in her pussy.
Now I know which part we're gonna cut. Let me just marker this moment. Actually, I'm keeping that in there. But anyways, it's weird that we're having sex talks before like social media talks because she's not quite there. But yeah, we're gonna have to have conversations as time goes on and new apps come, right? Like that's the thing. It's that it's happening at such a quick rate. Like for our parents, it was like, you're right, it was like MySpace. But at that point, we were already like in our early 20s or late teens.
Our parents weren't on it. My mom still doesn't know how to turn on a computer.
Exactly. And so that's the challenge that we're gonna have to have, is that right now you're on Instagram, you're barely in TikTok, but you're learning it more just because you're, it's still a young person's game.
It's weird.
But like there's going to be 20, 30, 40, 50 more apps in their like teenage lifetime in a whole different way that you will have to stay on top of if you want to make sure that your kids are having a safe online presence.
Yeah.
And not only just like things coming to them, but the explanations that you're going to have to give your kids about what you put out there is there forever. Right? So like think about the shit that we did.
Shit is
that we might have put out there at the age of 14 or 16 or 20. It lives forever.
I had to go back and like delete tweets and like sometimes in like,
and that was in your early 30s.
Yeah. No, I would say late 20s. Because I started.
Was Twitter even around then?
Yeah, because I started real estate when I was 26 or 27. I was on Twitter.
Really? That early?
Yeah, same with Facebook too. But I remember like my buddy Simon, like Facebook posts between the two of us will come up in memories. Be like, yo, did you see this girl? Like, you know what?
Or making bad jokes. Like I would always joke in my early 20s of like when a celebrity died, I'd make like a witty comment, which is like so not witty and so stupid.
It is.
And I delete it. I recently, not recently, but not so far distant past from today. What a horrible way of explaining that.
That was,
I deleted pictures and now it's funny, I'm putting this out there again.
Of you wearing like your Echo stuff with your...
No, I deleted pictures when I went to Thailand.
Okay, yes.
I put photos of, in my 20s, I put photos up of me at like those tiger like sanctuaries.
Oh God.
And then I found out like, these fucking tigers are like drugged and shit.
Yeah.
And it was horrible. I'm like, I don't want these photos. And again, that's
you were
not so
too,
bad.
Though.
Huh?
You were drugged too.
I was drugged?
When you were there.
No, I wasn't.
Well, so you went there willingly?
To where?
To go see tigers?
Yeah.
Why?
It's something that you do in Thailand. Like you'd go to these tigers, like there's like you've seen the viral video of the elephants painting.
I just always hated that shit. I don't like zoos.
It wasn't like a
talked
zoo.
About
it was
an
like
aquarium. So
so you're really
I'm so woke.
You're just conforming and saying what needs to be said, but really you love zoos and you love animals.
I love the zoo.
We go to the zoos with our kids all the time. There are like humane
Jeremy
zoos.
loves the zoo, and I always chirp him so hard about that.
It's true. The zoo is a good place to walk around when it's nice out. I like it. Anyways, whatever. No, the Toronto Zoo is because they're humanitarians and they do great things.
Yeah. So like back to the creepy stuff. Like I feel like the age that you're going to have that talk with Joey, because it's coming like probably within the next year or so, I'm assuming.
It's going to be like tomorrow. Moment and moment again.
I think it's going to be younger when it happens with Sunny. And I think it's going to be even younger that you're going to have that conversation.
Not necessarily.
I think
the reason why, I'll just tell you why.
Sure.
The reason why is because again, it starts with access. So if we have a rule in our house, and I'm not saying this is the rule, but if our rule becomes you don't get a phone till you're 13 and you don't get to
change.
Hold on.
I think it's going to change.
Maybe, but I'm just saying if you don't, no, because anyways, if you don't get a phone till you're 13, if that's the rule, 10, whatever the number is, and we don't allow access to downloading certain apps to something, then that's just the rule. It's just when they get it, then you have to be on top of monitoring it and what's an invasion of privacy on their behalf, because they still need to be independent. But so you have to have conversations depending on the app, depending on the situation. I'm sure there was a lot of issues with like parents having to have conversations with their kids when Snapchat came out.
Huge.
And like images and stuff like that whole disappearing concept.
That's
of
why
photos.
that's why they like it. But
that's why they like it.
I just feel
that stuff lives on forever. We know that
it's going to be more. The further we go on in time, I honestly feel that devices are just going to be so normalized, like
especially if it's like integrated into our wearables.
That's what I'm saying. Like if you're just like, well, 13's the number, there's going to be 10-year-olds when Sunny's 10 who has that shit.
Maybe. I can't predict the future because I don't know what kind of world we're living in.
But that's what I'm saying. Like I feel as we go on, it's going to be a younger and younger topic. Like they weren't having sex ed talk with 10-year-olds when we were
in grade 5.
grade 5.
Yes,
I
I
don't know
think
what was
that's-
going on in your grade 5 class.
No, like in
But it
health
was-
class, they start to give you that stuff. But yeah, like exposure to things. But that's the problem is that like
Everyone's
you
so
need to
exposed.
jump in
Yeah.
before they're too exposed, because if you have that conversation about sex
It's
too
damage
late,
control.
they're gonna learn it earlier by their friend's phone.
Yeah.
And so it's not even always the devices that you give your kids, but their friends' devices
Yeah.
and that access. So it's really scary. There's no real way to approach it. You just have to teach your kids about, the long-term issues that could arise from being exposed to this stuff,
Yeah.
and what lives on forever, and what online bullying looks like. And it's just like, it's a scary thing as a parent.
Yeah.
And until you're in it, until the moment comes, and I'm not fully in it yet, we may not know how scary it can be. And I don't really know how to combat it at this point. I think just setting rules and trying to stick to those kind of rules is the only way. It's the only way, because otherwise you give in and it's there.
And so there's that side of social media, and then there's a whole,
Positive side.
well, no, I still think there's a whole other negative side.
Oh,
of-
more negative. Super negative?
No, like, well, no, I'm being serious. Like kids, like image, especially
Oh,
with,
yeah.
with girls,
Yeah.
right? Like body image stuff, and like,
Totally.
just like how people act, and then also,
The fake reality, right?
It's-
Like that's what I'm saying. They're not your friends. This isn't the real life.
but like
It's what you put out there.
You have 2 daughters, right?
Yeah.
And body issue stuff on, just people worshiping
Instagram models.
Instagram
whoever.
models or like celebrities and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
How do you have you like had those conversations that like, Joey's going to be an actor,
Yeah.
or she is an actor, and, she just had a big movie come out. Like she continues that way. Like that's going to be something. Like, how do you not live up to the expectations of the things that you're seeing on the screen?
Yeah.
And I can say that from like, I'm in the gym a lot, and, there's a lot of Instagram athletes that aren't natural. They're on steroids,
Yeah.
and like you see them on the screen, and that's not real life. Seeing like these celebrities or whatever, even kids that she looks up to in kids shows, like
Yeah.
how do you
She already started with that, to be honest.
like, and you just said, cause she's starting to wear lipstick to school.
yeah,
And, like,
she's not starting to wear lipstick at school.
I still
she
think
did
of like
put
Billy
on-
Madison with
She did
him
put on
putting
lipstick.
it on his face.
You know what?
That's
I
the
will give her.
second time that we've talked about that.
I will give her credit. She puts it on pretty well.
Does she? Do I have any on my teeth?
She has like a kid's lipstick that whatever. But she doesn't wear.
But
it
isn't
every day.
that weird? There's kids lipstick. Like that's weird.
Yeah, well,
Like,
it's
kids
funny.
be
Jamie
kids.
won't let her use like kid lipstick because it's all chemical shit. So she will buy her the good stuff. But
she's got the good.
she's got the
She's
real,
got that good,
natural
good.
shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that she does start with complaining sometimes in the morning that her hair, Sunny's hair is so straight, and she can wake up in the morning and it's like perfect. It just falls. Joey has kind of curly, wavy hair, and
Okay.
so like
Gets
it
frizzy.
can become like a nest. It's crazy, and so she'll complain.
She's like, oh, there's a fork in here.
No, we're a full bird family.
Yeah.
So she will, say that her hair doesn't look good, or she doesn't like the way it looks.
How does that
and
make
things
you
like that.
feel? Like, has she been like, Dad, am I pretty?
She hasn't said anything like that yet, thank
And you'd be
goodness.
like, no, just look at you.
And we also are very aware of not over complimenting her either, right? Like,
Dude,
because
this
then it
is
becomes
so-
it becomes a thing. Like if I constantly said to her like, Joey, you're beautiful, you're pretty, whatever, that's also not good, because the flip side is that, kids go through stages and they may feel, awkward stages and that stuff. We know
sure
that.
Did. A
And
cowboy denim shirt.
forget
I'm
the
gonna-
clothing. I'm just
gonna-
talking about like the awkward gawkiness of when you're going through like pre-puberty to post-puberty.
Doesn't end.
It never ends,
Look at
right?
me.
And so yeah, you're a walking advertisement of that. No, you're a good looking man. Don't worry.
Thanks, Dad.
Chin up.
Chin up because of the double. Thanks. I appreciate it.
You are it doesn't go away. But yeah, so she does talk about, and so we're conscious of not overly talking about her looks, because in other words, we're not trying to put importance on the way she looks. We talk about all the great things she does. We're proud of her for the work she does, the school stuff. We do definitely say that she looks beautiful or great, but that's not the only thing that we talk about, because if it is, then their identity will become about that. And if things change, or she goes through a phase where she doesn't like the way the things that we love about her,
Yeah.
then her worth drops. And so that's why you have to be very, as a parent, and you know, as somebody who has kids around, whether they're your kids or nieces or nephews, you have to be very conscious of the things you say because they hold so much more weight when they're young.
They're like little sponges.
And
like it's
you
not gonna
have to
like
think 2-3 steps ahead at some point.
like I feel like that's got to be really tough. I honestly I thought I was having a girl, and I always thought I'd be a better girl dad than a boy one.
Yeah,
and then
you mentioned that.
I started listening to.
Why do you think that? Just by curiosity.
I don't know. I like because it's
because were you excited for like the daddy daughter relationship that's like natural, or
no,
just like
I just
because
thought,
of like your skill sets would lend itself to girls more?
Maybe, yeah, but maybe I just like
I think that I was the same way. I thought the same thing.
Yeah, and then Atlas came, but I've been listening to a lot of podcasts on parenting, and there aren't a lot of dad ones, and this is the best one of all time.
Yeah.
But there's been a lot of like, there was a mom that was like, my daughter came up to me and she's just like, I feel fat, and her daughter was like 9.
Yeah, it's insane.
And
the exposure of social media and screens and stuff.
And it's just like
she
was idolizing, I forget who it is. It's like maybe a child star. And
on like YouTube or something.
Yeah. And it's just like, that was heartbreaking for her, you know, for the mom, and her mom suffered with an ED and growing up and everything. And she's like, I hate that my 8-year-old is feeling that way.
Yeah.
And no 8-year-old should feel that way.
For sure.
Right.
And did she attribute it to her exposure?
Did, yeah. Cause it's like, cause I don't look like so-and-so. I forget who it was, but because I don't look like this teen person who's apparently her age and what a lot of people,
and millions of followers, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And she's just like, I feel fat. I'm not pretty.
Yeah.
And like, how do you like, cause that I feel is a start of a deep rooted problem.
It builds, and right? It compiles on itself.
Has Joey started like idolizing anyone yet? Like, has that like,
yeah, she like definitely, I mean, she loves celebrities. Like she loves like, Jenna Ortega. Okay. She loved Wednesday.
I heard she's leaving the show. She's not. I know it could be. I
don't know. I don't follow teen drama, but she loves it. She likes it. She hasn't really talked about like looks or things like that. I mean, she doesn't say she's like, oh, she's so pretty or no, but she does in other ways. Like she'll, you know, we got her a Wednesday shirt. She loves it, and she loves dressing like that sometimes. Like you know goth? That kind of gothy,
nice
as like costume-ish. But yeah, I definitely am starting to see signs, which is all the more reason why, like, as she gets older, we become more on top of her screen time and our thoughts around social media exposure. Like, I won't even let her, like, when I'm looking at Instagram or TikTok, I won't even let her look at my phone. And we make TikToks, me and Joey. Like, let me clarify. I make TikToks with her, not often. Like, we don't have a channel or anything.
You're not consistent at all.
But they're mostly that for private, and they're mostly we download them and we have fun with them. Because we like the challenges and that stuff.
I just wanted to touch right back on that. What about like boys? Has she had like a first celebrity boy crush?
Not even celebrity. My kids, girls so far have had crushes since like me.
Boy
like
crazy?
Since boy crazy. Joey has a new boyfriend every day.
Have you met any of them?
Yeah, they're all nice kids.
Have they walked around the table to get married?
like Full House?
Yeah.
Nah, not quite yet. But no, Joey loves boys. Sonny loves boys. They're boy crazy. They talk. Joey in preschool, in daycare, would make up elaborate stories about how her and her boyfriend Ethan would leave the school and go on dates. This is when she was like 3.
Like took the car.
Like because she knew she couldn't drive. She goes, she goes, I didn't drive because I'm not allowed. We walked on the sidewalk to be safe, and we went and got ice cream and we saw a movie. That's how we knew she'd be a good actress.
3.
When she was like 2.5, 3 years old, was telling us these elaborate stories about her going on dates.
And when you were that age, you were seeing The Shadow Man. So
I loved girls too. Like we loved girls since kindergarten, right?
Yeah.
Like I used to sit at the girl table,
well,
but not what? Say it. Say it.
Because you like eating paint.
Paint chips. But just to I was just kind
of curious, like what kind of celebrity she's into.
She's not into celebrity.
Like Jonathan Taylor Thomas? Or?
No, there's no like celebrity boys.
Are there even shows like that for kids though? Because I feel like we have
I don't think so.
Actual shows
Sitcoms
like you could watch
and stuff.
And now they just have like we have cartoons, but it feels like everything is like there's no live action.
They watch. It's funny. Kids now watch stuff that's like. So Joey would prefer to watch things that either are YouTube. So like just people's channels and shows.
Like what kind of YouTube though? Like Mr. Beast or who's
not
she
so much
watching?
Mr. Beast, but she loves like it's weird. It's such a variety of stuff. She'll watch things from like people like making slime.
Oh yeah, I heard that's big. I hear that's
to
big.
like families who document their lives.
Like family YouTube. Like the,
Yeah,
what
exactly.
channels? What channels?
I don't even know
You
the
don't
name
know?
of this family, but they're a
'Cause-
great family, and I like
Okay,
this
'cause,
family.
like,
This
there's some-
isn't like
There's some family YouTube where they're
superficial
like,
bullshit.
yeah, we're getting Ferraris and
No.
like the
No, these guys are
Ace
like,
family or whatever.
yeah, I hate them. No.
Yeah.
These guys are like, they're fun activities with their
Okay,
kids. It's called
okay.
the best day ever.
Did you think about starting? You definitely thought about starting a family
No,
YouTube
I'll
channel.
tell you why I didn't.
It's a lot of fucking work.
So much work, and I honestly am like, when I'm out of the spotlight in my life, I don't like being in the spotlight. Like,
Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't want it. I just want to like relax and enjoy, and it's so much work. I don't have the capacity to
Yeah,
even.
it's insane.
I'm not so self fucking like
It's-
absorbed to think that my life at home is interesting to other
See,
people.
I don't also because everyone's
But then
like,
again,
I
you
don't
do
want
day in
to-
a vlog, so it's
Well,
like,
yeah, because I was doing the
but,
daily vlog thing.
but yours has a different purpose, I think.
Yeah, but I find that like I think that argument, and when people say like, oh, like they talk about people who have podcasts or they do this kind of thing or
Yeah.
YouTube, that they're like, oh, they're so self-involved, they
I
think
get
that
it.
people care about what they have to say.
That's true. You're
But
right.
if everyone thought that way, there wouldn't be any entertainment.
100%. I agree. I'm
Right?
just saying,
Like,
like,
it's-
so for me, like doing this podcast doesn't give me that personal feeling
No.
because I find that it's educational. I think that
Sure.
it's funny, and I enjoy doing it with you. And it's got a very specific, focus.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily.
Focus would be the last
That's
thing
true, but
I
it
would say about
it has
us.
an umbrella of
Yeah,
focus.
we try.
We try to focus,
try so
but
hard.
like to document my life, the day to day. I don't think my day to day is that interesting. This is like
Yeah.
we're trying to entertain. We're trying to put together some sort of format.
And it's also like a highlight reel. And then it also gets kind of creepy. Like Roman Atwood, his family had to get like off of that stuff because like they got death threats.
Yeah,
Like,
listen. You put
scary
yourself
shit.
out there. Expect both sides of this.
Yeah,
and
people-
that's our own fear with like Joey and acting. It's like we don't know if that's something that we're gonna want for in the long run because of like that stuff. And I mentioned before, if there's anything that I feel is off or not right, or she does get requests to follow of like
dude, it's creepy.
people, and I have to go through and block things because it rubs me the wrong way.
You don't want to like play along and get them arrested?
No.
Call what's his name? Chris Hansen?
I would love to
Take a seat over here.
Why don't you sit down for me? Why don't you take a seat?
It's like,
Why
what,
don't you take a
what is
seat?
this?
It's so good because they just obey. He's so good at that.
And if they bring like these guys like bring the most random, they're like, oh yeah, I wanted 3 honey buns and a
Yeah.
a tub of like ice cream and
Did you bring
and-
condoms?
Yes.
Did you bring condoms? Oh no, they're in the car. I didn't bring them. It's so funny.
Yeah.
But to wrap it up, or to come to the final segment of this, we can talk about the flip side of like the screens, because there is some sort of education that I will give to our kids and my kids, and you'll give to your kids about. There are benefits of like social media. There are
Yeah.
benefits of YouTube. There are benefits of being exposed to certain educational or just interesting or creative television shows and things like that.
Uh-huh.
And so like they shouldn't be like, in other words, people say my kid's not going on this till they're 21 or 18. And that could put them behind in the world of business, in the world of art, in the world of whatever.
Or even make them do it behind your back and do
Yeah,
it
for sure.
worse.
Let's assume in this scenario that they listen, right?
Okay,
They listen to you and they're not on anything for that, right? They're starting off potentially, and you can't deny the future, that the future is coming and what's happening, right? Like you can't
Aliens exist.
You can't stop, Doomsday, Terminator 2. You can't stop these things. It's happening, and so you have to navigate it
So
the
end of-
right way.
The end of times is here, guys.
The end of times are here.
You can't do anything to stop it. We're all fucked.
Well,
so just
if you're putting social media as and people do talk about it as like, oh, kids are ruined, they're destroyed, or whatever. If you use it right, it's
they?
like with great power comes great responsibility.
there you go, Uncle Ben.
And that's the reality of social media as well. You can use social media and entertainment for great things. You can use it to excel in the world. You can network. You can get content out there. You can post things. You can just do great things that will help you grow as a person in life. But if you don't help them navigate that at a young age, it can go off the rails quick. You can either go like making, MKHB, whatever, like really
Great,
great
yeah.
stuff and interviewing like presidents and that stuff. Or, and not that there's anything wrong with
You
it,
can be JoJo
you can
Siwa?
go, no, even her, created or whatever. You can go like OnlyFans, right? Like,
They
which to
don't-
me, like, I don't give a shit how much money my daughters would ever make from that.
Oh,
They would never go on that. And if they are on it, they're no daughter of mine.
I don't. You gotta.
I gotta what?
You gotta let them do what they want to do, man.
No, I'm not. They're not getting involved in anything in the sex trade industry or the sex work industry, and I consider that sex work.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
But
Sorry.
like,
Sorry, that's where I draw the line. Comment below. Would you let your
here we
kids?
go.
Would you let your daughters be involved? And this is why I know that you don't have kids yet, because you're like, oh, maybe. But if you had a daughter, and you won't because you say you're only having one kid.
Yes.
But if you had a daughter, you'd be singing a really fucking different tune because you project yourself into that. No, that's not something that I think is something to be proud about. But
we're gonna get so much hate in the comments here.
and listen, again, I'm not judging other people. I just don't want that for my kid, for my daughter. If you want it,
the
or
size
if
of those paychecks?
great, I think that they can listen. Have you seen the size of like Mr. Beast paycheck?
Yeah, but he's 1 in a million. There's so many people on OnlyFans, man.
Yeah,
Feet pics sell.
Not for my family. Although me and Jamie do joke around. It's like
You
she
guys
should
were gonna start. You
well,
guys.
no, like she should start one just for like something like you said, like feet, like just completely like random that isn't connected to her in any way, and
Her
wouldn't ruin
feet
her
aren't
life.
connected to her. It's
Connected
awkward.
to her, like as in you can recognize her by.
Yeah, be like, I had to recognize that freckle she's got. I don't know, but
Take
yeah.
a look at that growth,
I get,
that
like-
bunion.
But like, would you do that if you didn't show your face,
Would I do what?
Like-
a foot one?
or like just like
No,
neck down,
nah.
neck down? Well, you got a lot
I'm
of
too many tattoos.
Too many
No,
tattoos.
I that's not for me. And again, if
What's-
it's for you,
What's your number?
it's
though?
great.
Everyone has a number.
I have lots of numbers for doing things behind the scenes.
500. If someone was like, I'd give you $500 million
To what?
full face
For what?
to like start an OnlyFans for a year.
No.
$500 million, you wouldn't do it? That's dumb. You can get
Hold
that all
on.
scrubbed.
No, you can't get it scrubbed.
Okay, if you can't,
We
I
just
would still,
discussed
my
what
number's
lives
way
forever.
lower.
No.
Be like, hey, Taco Supreme.
Again, I let me see the check. Let me see the cash.
Yeah, it's a very.
But off the top, like people have given me scenarios before of like,
I thought
would you
people
do
were
this?
like people have given me offers.
No. People have given me scenarios like, would you do this for money?
Yeah, it's a good game to play.
And most of my answers are as long if nobody knew or if it wasn't filmed, the answer is I would do a lot of things.
I think I like just stop giving a shit what people think about me.
it's not about that. That's the thing. That's the thing is that it's not about me. I don't care about me. I don't want that can ruin my kids' lives. Imagine
Dude,
the teasing. Imagine the
$500
this.
million,
Doesn't
you can buy
matter.
new kids.
A grade 4 boy does not give a shit that you got money. He will make my kid's life a living hell if there's crazy shit of me on the internet doing that kind of stuff. So I don't think about myself. If I was a single guy living in a condo, then yeah, pay me $500 million. I'll do anything because I have no shame personally. I care about the shame of those around me.
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh my god, it's essentially ruining potentially your kids' lives for your own
Or
gain.
making their lives awesome because
Money isn't everything.
No,
man.
money isn't everything. You're correct.
So
But
500 million.
500. That's a lot.
Puh.
That's a lot of money.
Puh.
Just
Puh.
$500 million.
So what are you going to do to wrap this up? What are you going to do? Hearing all this scary stuff about this stuff and also the good things that could come out of it, like screen time, social media, like how are you going to navigate it? Because at the end of the day, my only answer is I got to navigate it as it comes up because it's hard to predict.
I know what, like, so we were on that cusp of stuff. The stuff, how we like would promote bands or whatever it was,
Yeah.
has completely, that's who I am as a person, right? Because of that. So I don't know if like we were in a band together and I like and ended up randomly talking to this way older man who owned a record label.
Yeah.
And like, you know, he ended up managing one
Being
of the
real. He
largest,
ended up being real.
right? So like if my parents knew, because we were what, like 17, 16 at that time?
Yes. No, we were older. We were like
We were in high school.
yeah. So when we were
It
in
was,
like
I think,
OAC, like or
no, it was
grade
before
12.
that. I think we were 17,
Yeah,
maybe
17.
even 16. You might
Yeah.
have been 16. I might have been 17 because my birthday's later or earlier.
But that's different.
But it's not though, because if my parents would have been like, or knew what I was doing, they would have stopped me. Right. But that like,
No, but 16-year-old kids now are on social media. So
Yeah.
it's more about the initial exposure and the screen time at a younger age.
I just find like everything that I've done has built me to who I am. And if you take away that point, like you said, like
But
it
you
could,
didn't have this when you were 8 years
I had
old.
video games. I had
That's
freaking-
not yeah. So screen time, sure.
Yeah,
we're on the
like-
same page there.
Yeah.
Do it when it's necessary. Try to get great content. Try to expose them to things that are appropriate, age appropriate,
Yeah.
and try to do it as a family if you can. But don't make it the thing. In other words, it can't be the only tool in your toolbox.
No, it can't.
And that's the rule. And that's our rule.
It can't be the crutch.
Can't
that
be the
you're always
crutch.
on.
It's the only thing. Can I ask you one more question before we wrap this?
Of course.
It's flipping on the social media. Are you going to be the kind of parent and who's posting everything about your kid?
So it's tough because
Some
for
people
the
are
last-
completely the opposite. Nothing. They blur out their kids' faces.
I post everything about my life, right? Because
Yeah, I can't see you not posting about your kid.
yeah, like I'm sure we actually haven't really, Jess and I haven't really talked about that. Like,
Yeah, I wonder what Jess's perspective on it would be.
because, and yeah, maybe we'll touch on that in the last episode because we'll go and we'll have those conversations.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine not. Like, I was literally daily vlogging. Like,
Yeah.
I was filming my life. It's for me. I'm in real estate. I like my clients to know me. Like the amount of people that know my dog's
Yeah,
names
and relate
and all
to
that
you
stuff,
and all that
right?
stuff.
So like, I can't imagine doing this podcast as well.
Yeah.
Like it's a whole other game now because we're season 2 is gonna. I'm a new dad. Like
Hopefully.
yeah. If we
Fingers
get
crossed so we
picked
don't get canceled.
up- Yeah, we're after this episode. We definitely.
I mean,
are.
like canceled by our network.
Oh yeah,
We're
our
not a
network. I'm the network.
Um,
Yeah, like it's. I think I will, and I'm not opposed to it. I don't.
No, but like again, people are nervous about like privacy of like their kids and people knowing that stuff. And like, in other words, I know Paul Greenberg. I know where he works.
Yeah,
I know he is a
that's-
kid.
that's
and so that part's
everything out
scary and
about
tricky.
me. Yeah,
But let's put the scary stuff aside. I guess to wrap it up, 'cause I've talked
privacy
too long.
wise, I don't.
Privacy wise, it's very hard. It's very hard. It's very active. You have to be very active to try to make sure your kids aren't online. But at the end of the day, if you're posting online about your kids, my only piece of advice is whatever, find your comfort level. Just don't make your posts only about your kids.
I can't
'Cause
no,
those
I go by
types of
I go
people,
I'm a
I don't need
formula.
40 stories of
Yeah,
your
we-
kid walking around a backyard or
We got
whatever.
one of those in our close circles,
Right? Like find a balance in your life of like, yeah, some posts of your kids, some posts of the things you do, some posts of your life. But like, as soon as I hate those parents. I hate those fucking parents who like had an active social media life before,
Oh,
and then
yeah,
they have
yeah.
a kid, and now their feed and their stories and their reels are only kid stuff. Like nobody cares about your kid as much as you care about your kid, so nobody wants to see that much content about your kid. I'm
And-
sorry,
and
that's
if-
just real facts.
If you think that he's talking about you, he is.
Yeah, if this
this
relates
is-
to you, it's you.
It's you.
It's you
What
because
about
you know
What about monetizing your kids?
I am, but in the
Someone made a
old
comment
fashioned
about
way,
that.
acting.
Be like, I forget who it was. He's
About
like,
my
"Oh,
kid?
No, about us doing this. They're like, oh, take it for Paul to figure out how to monetize his child that he hasn't even had yet.
Listen, I don't fully disagree with them.
I was like, hey, I got a really good idea for a podcast.
but the premise makes sense, and so
it's
and speaking of monetizing our kids,
oh,
how do we do that, Paul?
well. If you like to listen to the podcast to calm you down when you're in the car,
Yeah,
you can check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and basically anywhere you get your podcast. If you like watching us, because we're two young, hip, handsome guys, at least our mom says so.
yeah,
Well, his mom says that about him.
and you, she says it about.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Mm-hmm.
You can watch us on YouTube. And if you're doing that, please hit the subscribe, hit that little bell so you know when we upload.
Yeah,
Do the like, smash it, smash that like button,
yeah.
and leave a little comment. Let's start a conversation. If
We
you
really want more conversation,
We
so
do.
please like message us, ask us questions, ask us opinions. They may be good, they may be shit.
yeah, if you want us, if you got a question for us, and you
Ask.
want it on this pod, maybe we'll do a Q&A episode.
That's a season 2 thing.
That's a season 2 thing.
I'm loving it.
But yeah.
On that note,
thanks so much for watching. I'm Paul.
and I'm Daniel.
This is the
Dad Collective Podcast. Live
from
on the interwebs.
Thanks, guys. We love you.
See you at the next one. This was episode 9.
I started talking close again.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Make sure you tune in each and every week for a brand new episode of The Dad Collective.